It will be.
Oh, Steve. So weigh-ins Friday, 7 to 9.
But yeah, we got to post that too. You're gonna
Yeah.
bring the good scale, so it's the same scale, so we stay consistent.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so
But
79. That's all. I wanted to talk to you on the time because I wanted you to be there with the scale.
well, I'll drop the scale off. I got to work Friday night.
Okay.
Oh no, that's not this Friday. That's next Friday. I'll be off. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
All right, perfect. Either way.
So
So we must be live right now. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to another podcast, Probandofuerza from Pulseo TV. This is Manolo Sanchez, the face of arm wrestling in Puerto Rico and Latin America. And tonight I have two very special guests, guys that I've known of. I think I met Mike in person at Winter Blast, and Steve. I've heard a lot about him, and I know he's a great guy, and he's been in and around arm wrestling a lot of years, like me and Mike. I just want to welcome you guys to the show, Mr. Mike Bisman and Steve Black.
what's going on, man?
What's up?
I do these things, very casual. I like to make it like we're having a conversation, telling stories, And before we talk about the big event 10 days from now, I just want to know who you guys are. Tell your story, how you got into arm wrestling, how do you begin, how do you start competing, how did you start promoting? Let's start with Mike.
All right. Well, I know Steve longer than I've been arm wrestling. I actually have, and I got involved because of Jason Vale, which is one of the reasons why it's pretty awesome that Steve and I have thrown this event. I stumbled upon on arm wrestling, and I think Steve remembers. I was at the Queens County Fair at the Queens Farm in New I don't know what that is in Little Neck, and we were there to do a corn maze or whatever. And my wife's like, "Look, they got arm wrestling." I'm like, "Ah, they don't have a left-handed event because I'm a dominant lefty." And she's like, "Yeah, they do. You can win money." I'm like, "All right, hon, whatever. Sign me up." There was nobody around or anything, so we go do the corn maze. We come back. I'm one of the smallest guys there. Now, mind you, I'm 6'1", probably 250 at the time. And I went, "Oh my God, what did I do?" The only person I knew that arm wrestled was Steve. I was like, "Hon, call Steve." I called Steve. I go, "I think I got myself in trouble." He's like, "Why?" He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "The Queens County Fair." He went, "Oh boy, what'd you do?" He was like, I was like, "I entered the arm wrestling." He was, "What'd you enter?" I'm like, "Hon, what did I enter?" She's like, "Pro." I'm like, "Oh, okay." She's like, and he goes, "Who's there?" I start reading off some names. And he kind of basically gave me the bless. He was like, "Yo, I can't do anything for you." He was like, "Keep your thumb as close to your shoulder and good luck." Well, I called him probably 2 or 3 hours later. I go, "Yo, I won." He's like, "What do you mean you won?" I was like, "I won the overall too." He's like, "What?" So that was my introduction to arm wrestling, because then Jason Vale was one of the refs, and he looks at me and he goes, "How long you been arm wrestling?" I was like, when did this tournament start?" He was like, "Get out of here." Then I started going to practices with him, and then I lived at his house every Thursday for I don't know how many years. So that was, and then I had to make a choice: bowling or arm wrestling, and bowling was way more lucrative at the time, so I had to walk away for a little while. And then when I came back, I was kind of annoyed that it hadn't advanced at all. It was in the same spot, if not a little bit lesser than when I came back. And Steve brought me back, and Steve and I got to talking, and I'm like, "Yo, we can put on a good show." I said, "I'm OCD enough, and you have enough knowledge to where we could put on a good show." And that was the birth of Empire Arms.
So that was the birth of Empire Arms. That was going to be one of my questions. How did Empire Arms came to be? But let's hear Steve's story on how he got into arm wrestling, and then he met you.
My phone went a little nuts right there. I guess my battery died on the holder here. Yeah, I've been arm wrestling pretty much my whole life. Something I always did. I used to be a bartender, and I used to always bounce the bouncers and stuff. I started bar back when I was like 16, so it was just always a test of strength with me, against every guy. Well, we arm wrestled, and it's going to circle back to the event again, because same as Mike and most people in New York City, Jason Vale is the one who basically got me into competitive arm wrestling, professional arm wrestling. He was the guy who, at 176 pounds, would travel around and enter the super heavyweight class and dominate it. And I mean, he's beaten guys like Jerry Caderet, which, I hate saying that because I love Jerry and I've watched Jerry crush so many giant human beings that I hate saying that a 176-pound man beat him, but I seen it, you know what I'm saying? And I've seen him beat a lot of legends. And that's one of the reasons why this event is important to me, because I believe that, Jason Vale put New York arm wrestling on the map. And I know that so many people went through his doors and trained in his house and got the training or the bug and became part of the sport because of him. So it's a tribute to that. And I want to try to keep that legend alive, because there's a huge arm wrestling community in New York, but they just all don't work together, which is kind of like the sport across the whole, globe, because it seems like nobody in arm wrestling works together. But I think if they did, New York could be a hot spot for arm wrestling with a lot of talent. But it's like I said, it's all the politics in the sport. But I love arm wrestling. Been doing it since the early '90s.
Well, I've been arm wrestling since I think 1999, like 26, 27 years, something like that. I started when I was 16, and then we had a big event in Puerto Rico. It was called. I always tell this story. It was called Pulso Medalla. It was as big as the Duke and Jack was in the States and the Golden Bear in Russia, and we had 1,000 entries a year, like every year, 1,000 entries to that tournament. And then life happened and it died out, and I started traveling to the States but not New York, but the South. And then I got married and stopped arm wrestling. Then I came back to the sport because I love arm wrestling like you guys. I love the sport, and I just wanted to show Puerto Rico that there's still arm wrestling in arm wrestlers in Puerto Rico, because everybody loved arm wrestling. Like that tournament was really popular. It was in TV shows, it was in the news, it was everywhere until it died out. But when I started arm wrestling, obviously everybody knew who John Bersenk was, and John was his favorite, right? But to me, like, this is my personal story. I remember I always looked online for anything about arm wrestling, right? And this was this New York City arms, right? Arm wrestling in New York City, and I saw Jason, this little guy who was just beating everybody,
Yeah.
and he changed. He was another man once you put on the strap on his hand.
Yeah, that's
and he was my favorite. Like I love John, but Jason was my favorite arm wrestler.
Yeah, you put the strap on that man, and he turned into something completely different.
John Bersenk speaks very highly of Jason, and guys like Travis Bajan, who are also strap masters, say they learned their technique from Jason.
I made a post some weeks back when Mike and I talked, and we confirmed I was going to the tournament next week, about that story, like what I thought, like Jason Vale was my hero. And if you see the thread, the comments, even Bob Brown commented on it, and I don't remember who it was that said that Jason like teach Travis and some other guy. I think Travis and Mike Celiaris how to do the straps. Yeah. Like he was his teacher. That's why they were so good.
The only two thought were those two.
Yeah, Mike was at every practice on Thursday with us for years, man. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We all probably practiced with Jason back in the Whitestone house and all the way through to when he lived in the Jamaica States area. I know Jason a long time.
Yep.
Like I might have started arm wrestling competitively in the early '90s, but I've been arm wrestling since probably the '80s. I'm old.
Well, I was born in '81 and I started arm wrestling in '99 or something like
bad.
that. I know I was 16 years old.
That's good. Hey, listen, that's a good age to start. That's when the testosterone is kicking in. You feel like a man, It's a good age. Yeah.
My first tournament, I got a really bad injury. I didn't break my arm. I kind of cracked my bone in the finals of that tournament. and it changed. Everything changed. After that injury, I got better.
Well, it works that way for some people.
Yep.
You're the lucky one.
Yeah.
Well, I've gotten hurt 3 times since I've been back, and every time I've come back better.
Yeah, it's something about the age. We are aging, and we're getting tougher. So at least that's how I feel, because I was really strong, like really strong. I didn't need technique and anything, any of that shit, because I was really, really strong. But then when I started feeling like wrong, like something was wrong when I turned 38, right? And I kept pushing my body. Like I didn't listen to my body. And then when I turned 41, bam, all shit hit the fan. I lost. I had to drop 150 pounds. I went from 330 to 176 in like 7 or 8 months, something like that.
Jesus.
And I had that experience. Like I was like my life was gonna end, and I said like, damn, I love arm wrestling. Let me get back in it. Let's start competing. I don't care if I lose. I just want to compete because I love arm wrestling, and I winning. I didn't want to lose the chance to do it again. I'm healthy now. I'm just trying pushing it. And going to this tournament, to the third annual Jason Vale All Strap Tournament, Memorial Tournament. It's on the bucket list. I had it on my bucket list.
Awesome.
Because like I didn't get the chance to meet Jason. He to me he was gone way too early. Like right now the sport needs a Jason Vale.
You're not wrong.
So
we'll make it interesting.
yeah, and Jason. I mean, I didn't met the guy in person. I'm talking about the experience, the vibe I got from him, and when I saw him compete, he commanded some respect in the community. He didn't talk that much when he talked about it. Listen, and at the times we are right now, we needed Jason. Like we need Jason. So it's good that this tournament, it's third year happening, and I believe it's getting bigger each year, right?
It has.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
And this
Like
was
the first year, how was it the first year?
first year it was like
Good pullers though. Local pullers.
great quality of puller, but it was light on numbers. Last year were great numbers. But this year now we've moved it 45 minutes closer to the Queens border, which I think is going to be huge to get out of state guys. Because now we're only 20 minutes from the Throg's Neck or 20 minutes from the Verrazano. Well, depending on
not an hour and 20 minutes, yeah.
Right. Well, I said that right. So we've moved it much closer to try to get the out of state guys out. We're doing it at the UFC Long Island gym, which they've been awesome so far. I mean, we've done practices there, and we've held a couple of events there, and they've been nothing but gracious the entire time.
And
nice,
Jared,
nice. And I'll tell you guys, the tournament it's attracting attention, as it grows, because I'm gonna show up, and I'm gonna pull as much as I can, like I did at Winter Blast, and I'm gonna ref, and I know you guys, I know Mike knows, but you're gonna have a world champion, like a WAF world champion, going to the tournament, Santiago Balsamelo from Argentina. He's gonna show up and he's gonna pull,
Right.
and
Nice.
Santiago is a really strong, freakish guy. He's small, but he's strong, and he knows Jason, and he admires him too.
I'm sure he does.
Well, just the one caveat that I have to put out there for everybody just right now, because we have money involved, we're only allowing people to pull up one class. I don't want somebody coming in and trying to run through all the classes. That's just not not the spirit, that's not the spirit of the tournament that we're doing.
Yeah, we don't want to take the entry fee so that some guy can come and rob everything and take it from everybody else. We'd rather get a little less entries and have everybody have a chance at the money.
Right.
Yeah, or some guys just show up to have fun.
Right. No.
Oh, that should how be everybody. But there's
I
always
don't
some
have
people
big
that come and
expectations. I just want to pull and have fun.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. If you win right and left in just one class, that's $500. You pull 4 classes, that's $1,000. There are a lot of guys that travel to tournaments because of that. Will factor in that and try to, like a Brandon L. Seltzer who'll come and pull like 8 classes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. I know.
you got
And it's
guys
good.
that'll
It's good.
show up
It's
and
good that you
do
guys are
that.
doing that.
So and
Yeah.
they'll win them too. So it's
Right.
trying to protect it.
It's plausible. And like I said, I want to divvy the money out to multiple different people. I don't want it all going to one person and making a paycheck for the week. That's not the spirit of the tournament.
Right, and also too because the money comes from Jared and Barbara, the brother and mother and the family basically. So we just in essence of Jason, like he's the type of person like you loved him or hate him, but you knew who he was in a room, and he would want it to be fair. So
right.
we're trying to make it a fair event. And
fair, except for in the setup. Let's be fair. Let's be real.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
This is true. So
well, it's a great event. Any details like small details people should know, like is there going to be early weigh-ins? Is there going to be a 5 pound, 3 pound weight allowance or something like that?
All of Empire Arms are 3 pound allowances. They're always 3 pounds allowances. We are going to do weigh-in 7 and 9 the night before, so that's the 17th
at the location
at the UFC gym.
Cool. So I'll get in. I'll get in like Friday afternoon. I'll already be over there. So I haven't deal with the details on who's gonna get me to in the airport or whatever. I haven't dealt with that.
That's easy enough.
But I'm gonna have to wait because I'm gonna ref, but I want to pull too.
So you weigh in.
Yeah, I gotta weigh in, and I'm like cutting weight because after Winter Blast I was 211 pounds. Then I weighed myself the other day. I was 222. I was like, what? Wow. I gotta lose it, dude.
Super.
That's the thing.
Ever care what the scale says?
Yeah,
I know.
Refs can pull, but me and Mike don't pull our own events.
No, we never pull our own event.
Yeah,
I'm same way. I'm the same way. If I throw an event, I don't pull.
Especially if there's money on the line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not right. Even one win affects somebody's day when there's money on the line. So,
right.
Yeah. And I don't think either one of us aren't at least winning one match. So,
right.
Well, Mike did fairly well at Winter Blast, right? How do you win? Like 8-2?
Yeah, I went 8-2 for 3rd place.
Yeah, that class was stacked.
Yeah, that was actually my first tournament back after full shoulder reconstruction. So I couldn't have been happier. I don't know, like seeing me around there at all. I was like, I'd been away from tournaments for just about almost a year when I was competing. So this was 1 year since I had been back, and I was like a kid in a candy store there. I was walking around giddy.
Well, that was my first tournament back too, because when I came back to the sport, I just did like 3 super matches, and that was my first tournament back. This is my second tournament, and I prefer. I don't know about you guys, but I prefer pulling tournaments instead of super matches. I mean, to me, that's arm wrestling.
Well, yeah, because
I like either one, but tournaments are better.
I don't care either way. I mean, but to your point, if I'm pulling a super match, I'm setting up for one person. In a tournament, you have no idea who you're going to be pulling.
Right, and the brackets make such a difference, so it just makes it more interesting. You can have the easiest day in the world if the brackets go your way, or you could be you're going to be eliminated before you even make Final Four just because you got everybody stacked on your bracket, so I love tournaments because it just adds that, air of, you don't know what's going to happen.
And you always have the fear of going 2 and out. That's the monster that always lurks behind you.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Getting that first win, you go, whew, okay, I'm not shut out.
I guess.
Like, yeah, dude, at Winter Blast, I didn't win. Like, I pulled all classes. I pulled masters, I pulled amateurs, semi-pro, and pro. I didn't win a single match amateur. All the matches I won was at the pro class.
That's see, like
it took a long time for me to get warmed up.
Well, there was also somebody.
It's
There was
either,
also somebody in
it's
the pros
either that or the guys in amateur are better than they should be, and they shouldn't be an amateur. Is probably more like it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the arm wrestling world has the professional amateurs.
The trophy hunters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just show up for the trophy and pull amateur.
I can't find any gratification in winning something that I shouldn't be in. And those people know who they are. I mean, listen, if it's a guy that dabbles between arm wrestling, between AMs and pros on a regular basis, I'm not mad at that guy. It's the guy that never dives into the pros after being in the sport for a couple of years.
Yeah, and it's listen, if I seen you and know you in arm wrestling long enough, I don't care how much time you could take off. If you pull the pro class and you take time off and come back, when you come back, you pull the fucking pro class. You don't go backwards. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy how people try to come up with the logic of why they should pull the amateur class. And also too, no hate on foreigners too, but a lot of times when some of the European guys come, they always want to pull the amateur and the semi-pro. They want to pull every class,
right?
And it's like these guys are on the top level. You know what I'm saying? It's like no, you can't pull amateur, but they just want to be like I won 8 classes, or they want to win as many classes as they can. It's just it's insane. But I guess that's part of the arm wrestling world. I don't know. I pulled one amateur, I think, class my entire arm wrestling life, and that was early in the beginning. I don't think I ever pulled amateur again because it was always lighter classes as opposed to now where amateur classes can sometimes be double what the pro classes are. It's almost where the action is now.
Look at the semi-pro winter blast. My semi-pro winter blast. It was 34 guys.
Yeah, amateurs get blown up right now. But the problem is that a lot of them are not amateur level. They're really talented arm wrestlers. So
that's what. Well, we have to find. There's a distinction between amateur and semi-pro.
Listen. Unfortunately, it's a sport where you self-proclaim what level you are.
Right.
So you predict. You come up. Name one other sport you could go sign up for and say, "Hey, I'm a pro." Just
bowling.
Because you said so. Oh, bowling? Yeah, well, that doesn't say much.
Yeah, that's an interesting subject.
But you're gonna lose your shirt if you're not a pro.
In both, of course. Right. In bowling and in arm wrestling.
But when I started arm wrestling, there wasn't no amateur class or semi-pro or anything like that. You just had to show up bowling. You have to be strong.
Yeah, I don't remember an amateur back in the early 90s. Yeah. I don't know. There was no lefty classes. And when lefty started, it was only one. It was one class, one weight class. I was pulling, guys 300 pounds lefty,
So,
yeah.
Well, obviously, I'm in favor of the lefty classes.
Yeah, you're also in favor of 300 pounds.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, my left arm used to be my stronger arm. Then it got hurt. But I'm a righty. Like I write with my right hand and everything. And my left hand was my stronger arm until it got hurt. I don't know. It died out. I tore something in my arm so bad that I even lost the ability to, with these 3 fingers. I don't know. They're not strong anymore. I can't seem to fix it. So my left arm is. If I get you in a hook, I can do something.
Wait. Here's the age-old question I ask everybody that talks about stuff. Did you go see the doctor?
The what?
The doctor.
Yeah, I went to the doctor. I tore my brachialis, but it wasn't on the tendon. It was like the muscle mass.
Okay.
Like the muscle broke or something. But that was the first time. That was really bad. Then I started using it again, like 8 months later, and it got hurt again. That's when my fingers started like not working properly.
Go back to the doctor.
I don't know if it was nerves or I don't know.
But did you go back to the doctor to find out what caused that?
No, I didn't go back to the second time. I didn't go back. This
is the same argument I have with Steve. Well, this hurts. This hurts. You go to the doctor? No. Okay.
Yeah, but my injuries were never from arm wrestling. I've never been.
Say that.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying no. But it's fine. In the whole time I've been a competitive arm wrestler, I've never got hurt arm wrestling. I
That's a
got
lie.
hurt at work. What?
No,
Well,
that's
since
a
the
lie.
surgeries,
Your
since
shoulder.
since the surgeries,
Your shoulder.
it wasn't hurt before.
It hurt it at arm wrestling.
No, I fucking got hurt. I almost got my arm torn off at M&M Chimney.
Oh, I'm talking about when you actually when you thought somebody.
Oh, yeah, but I'm saying, well, right after I've had a couple of surgeries, my body hasn't been the same. Scott Latelli, you're talking about?
Yeah.
When my shoulder popped out of the socket or something,
Yeah.
and went right back in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually, honestly, I thought Steve broke his arm.
Yeah, my shoulder,
Really?
it just popped in
It
and out of the
popped that
socket
loud?
for some reason. It was
It
weird.
was yeah, no, there was the arm break sound came out of his body, but it
Jesus.
I
was
think
his
he
shoulder
just
popping
saw
in
it
and out.
in his mind.
I mean,
Nah,
all my bad injuries, like Steve's saying, he hasn't, like, his injuries
never,
are known for arm wrestling, right?
never.
Mine, like, I've torn my pecs 2 times
Wow.
each arm wrestling.
Oh my God. Yeah, somebody asked me yesterday at work, if, of course, the famous question that everyone asks an arm wrestler, oh, you ever seen the arm breaks? And of course, unfortunately, we see way too many. But it was just amazing how, like, that's what everybody focuses on. Like, I can't even watch a video of it. Like, to hear the sound just cripples me, Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
uh,
Everybody stops. Like
Well,
there's
everyone, no,
injuries.
you'll know who's in arm wrestling for a long period of time when you hear an arm break because they all stop and look.
yeah.
Yeah.
It takes the energy out of the room because everybody knows what happened.
And my heart goes out to people that can break their arm, a spiral fracture, and actually come back to the sport, because I feel like that would probably be the end for me. That's something huge, and people come back from that, which is remarkable.
Yeah, and it depends. It depends how you react to the injury, because people just, like, control themselves and don't move. But some guys, like, move around or do something. That's when bad things happen, because those bones
Well,
are like
that's
knives
when
in there.
real damage happens. You have to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I know firsthand because I've had people break their arms on both my hands. One was at Jason's. My very first practice to Jason's.
Jesus.
I had gone there, didn't know anything about. I really didn't know anything about arm wrestling. Was giving my hand away the entire time, but obviously there was a lot of hype behind me because I won and nobody knew who I was. So I go to the practice at Jason's. Now they have me pulling this big dude that was bigger than I was. So we grip up. We wind up slipping. And so now they put us on into a strap with D rings. Now I have no understanding of the strap at all. I don't even know how to take it on and take it off. So we set up. They want to do a ready go. They do a ready go. This guy steps outside of his shoulder and blasts straight through. Now I don't know anything about arm wrestling, so all I did was just hold backwards and just statically hold. Well, his arm exploded. And now if Jason's room was probably 15 by 10 with like 8-foot ceilings, so it sounded like a shotgun. So now I'm freaking out because I can't get this thing off my hand, and this guy's got a spaghetti arm now. And I don't know how to get the strap off my hand. So, but yet I still stayed in the sport.
You were wrong about one thing. There's 7-foot ceilings.
Oh, 7 foot. Yeah.
Mike Aiello barely fits in there.
Right.
That's why he used to hate coming.
it was just awful. Like the ambulance had to come because the dude didn't know what to do or whatever. I mean, it was just bad. So then when I had a guy.
The thing is,
good.
The thing is that the thing with arm wrestling is that, like, there's injuries in every sport.
Yes.
In every sport, there are really bad injuries. But in arm wrestling, it hits everybody. Like, it impresses everybody. Like, I had an opportunity that presented itself with the government. They're doing like a big event statewide that all sports are going to be part of it. It's going to be in the summer, and they want arm wrestling for the first time to be part of it.
Nice.
And they came to me so I could, do something for them. And I was sitting with the director of the agency and the mayor of the city where the event is going to be, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm explaining the arm break thing, right? I'm telling them like, if you like, it would be for me, it would be better to do an exhibition event like with a couple of super matches with people that they know what they're doing. Because if I throw an event, an open event, everybody's going to want to pull. And when you see an arm break, you will not want to put arm wrestling back onto that show because
Correct.
it's like that, So I convinced them because I know if it happened like the first time arm wrestling is going to be on the show, like on the platform with all the other sports, if it happens like the first time, nobody will want arm wrestling back on the event. No. So it's that bad.
The Stone Age, it becomes this barbaric sport. Why would anybody want to do this? So yet not realizing that it was due to the fact of lack of training.
Exactly. Like we all saw Conor McGregor bust his leg on the octagon. Right. We all saw that. But okay, but it's the same thing when you break your arm.
Right.
In the arm wrestling table.
Yeah, you had him. You had Anderson Silva. I mean, there's several superstars that broke bones in the octagon.
Yeah. So what's the difference with arm wrestling? I think is nobody is expecting it, or people think it's easier than it really is.
A lot of people don't take it to be a combat sport, which technically it's not. But there are so many different styles and counters that it almost is.
It is a combat sport. Like you don't play arm wrestling. Oh, let's go play arm wrestling. You don't play it.
No, you can't play.
Who was it? One of the top guys used to always say it's the closest thing you could get to fighting without hitting somebody.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody said that. Used to say that all the time. But yeah, because
whoever said it, he's right.
Yeah, you're going 100 miles an hour with 100% full adrenaline, especially if you're in a fucking losing position. You're gonna try to do whatever you can to try to get something back. So yeah, it's I mean, and I'm a type of person, my style, I'll put my body at risk. I don't care. Like I used to pull from arm break position so much that refs used to foul me out. And I used to fight with them about how I signed a waiver. Do you want me to go show you my signature? I'm a pro. I signed a waiver. Stop stopping me. Because I used to be able, with a flop press, especially in a strap, if my fingers were around the hand still, I would get behind. As soon as I got my shoulder behind it, I'd, jerry right through that sucker. So, I used to hate that they would foul you out because sometimes you got to get caught outside to be able to inch your way back over to get behind it, and just a lot of people aren't strong out there, and some people are real weak that their bones break, I guess there, but
yep.
we're not all built the same, I guess.
Nope. Well, listen, what about when I bit through my mouthpiece and broke 2 teeth against Joe Galgucci?
Yeah. Well, the worst thing too about your arm break that I don't think he understood was you were still strapped to him. Yes. When his arm was broken. So that's got to be the worst, like you break somebody's arm in a strap match and they got to take the strap off and, straps on tight. Oh, that's horrible.
And listen, it was the old style strap with the 2 D rings and they pulled it tight.
Maybe we should stop talking about arm breaks before a tournament.
I was just thinking like, it's too interesting to stop.
Well, it's funny as a ref how paranoid I am about the amateurs. But in the pro classes, do as you wish. It's just so funny how my mentality is completely different.
Just don't break your arm.
No.
That's the only rule.
Right. So
that's the one rule.
And I hate to say it too. I'm the tournament director where I know it totally just ruins somebody's life. So I have a lot of empathy. My heart goes out to them. But I'm getting you off the stage, off to a corner, out of the way, and the tournament's going to continue without hesitation. I'm gonna get you to medical care, get you whatever. But I never understand when somebody gets hurt and they sit them down right in the middle of the stage and Nobody wants to watch that person suffer. They don't want to be in the spotlight suffering. Get them off to a corner, get them somewhere private, put the show back on so people pay attention to the matches and not the person who just broke their arm, you know?
Yep.
But I've seen too many.
They did a great job at Winter Blast with that.
What's that?
They did a
Yeah,
great job
they had
at Winter Blast with that.
2 arm breaks, 2 bicep tears. That's for that kind of numbers. You know, you got to admit that's honestly, I hate to say it, but that's not bad. I mean, lately there's been a lot of good events, knock on wood, where there's been 0 injuries. You have your good runs, but
Right.
when you get numbers like that, people pushing themselves, pulling multiple classes, you know,
Pulling injured.
Right, right. Well, every arm wrestle pulls injured. It's part of the sport. There's
Yeah,
no
but
arm wrestle is ever
one of the guys that
100%.
pulled their tore their biceps was Rocco, my friend from Arizona. He's Serbian.
Okay.
And he went in there, and when he got there, he was telling Greg, his friend that was with him, like, my bicep hurts.
Yeah.
And they told me all this after he tore his biceps. I'm like, why weren't you arm wrestling?
In all honesty, if it wound up blowing up, it was gonna go anyway.
It was already turned. That's what the doctor told him when he already had surgery and everything. The doctor told him it was already torn up. So,
oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if mine was, unfortunately, I don't have a cool story about how my shoulder finally blew up. My shoulder finally blew up at the last August event that we throw, moving a table at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Literally, just I was sliding one of the tables over to take it apart, and my shoulder went pop, and I went, "Oh, what was that?" And then that was the end of it. Then I couldn't move my arm the next day.
Yeah, that's all it takes. And especially too in tournaments when guys pull multiple classes and there could be long breaks between the classes.
Yeah.
That can put a lot of strain on the body. Yeah. It's good to just run straight
and
through.
How cold is going to be in New York next week?
No, it's supposed to be warm. 60s, 70s.
It was 78
That's
today.
Cold.
Yeah.
That's cold.
The cold, what?
That's cold.
We are built from different cloths. That's hot.
Dude, right now it's 90 degrees.
Oh, no, I can't.
Right now. And it was raining.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So to me, that's cold. So I got to bring a jacket.
You're going to walk into the event with a jacket on, and I'm going to throw something at you.
I'm going to walk into the event with a jacket on because 60 and 70 is cold for me.
I'm going to be in shorts and a t-shirt.
I know, but I'm going to be like with warm pants and stuff like that because I come from Puerto Rico. Like it's right now, it's 90 degrees. You know,
We'll get you an Empire Arm scarf.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Like everybody would be sweating. I'm like with a hoodie.
No,
yeah, that's definitely not me. I mean, I'm outside in a t-shirt in 50 degrees.
Dude, when I went to Winter Blast, I have never been, like me, my wife, my family, have never seen snow and never been somewhere that cold.
Cold?
We were like,
cold.
Dude, when we were like, we arrived and we went to the Poconos, right?
Right.
And at the early morning, it got to 0. And I was like, we got the heater on all the way up, and we were still cold. It was really bad.
At least you got to experience it. Now you know never to come again in the wintertime.
Yes, I don't want to go back in the wintertime, but my son does. So I'll be back next year in wintertime.
See, but that's great. It's great when that's another thing I love about the sport, when people find that one sport that the one tournament that brings them in, and they go every year to that event. Like they're loyal to it. Like that's one of the things I love about it. You know, like people will stay loyal to events. You know.
You know what? I'm thinking like going to Winter Blast every year I can, and coming back to the Jason Vale tournament every year I can. You know. Like my wife already started making plans for next year for Winter Blast and for this tournament next year. So I'm hoping I can do that every year. Yeah. But I've been traveling so much since October I've been to El Salvador, to Honduras, to Mexico, to Arizona, to Pennsylvania. Uh, it's 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 now I'm going to New York. It's been a lot of traveling.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
So
know. I know. Me and my wife, she books it already. We've been going to Greg Sharp's final in San Diego every year because the money's been it's been there. You know,
Right.
$2,000 first place. That's good money. Where are you going to get that anywhere? And if you win your local event, you know, you get your hotel taken care of. So, you know, we try to go to that one every year. You know, and make some of the money back. It's nice. You know,
I'll be going to that one this year. Last year I was hurt.
I haven't missed one yet. You know,
I
but I
know.
also think
really,
Keystones, you know, Winter Blast. There's a lot of events that, you know, those are my events that we book every year, you know?
like last year, I did like a West Coast tour. I was in Las Vegas and all of California, then Arizona. Then I'm trying to work my way up the East Coast this year. I already went to Winter Blast. I'm going to yours event. I'm hoping I can go to Canada or at least Michigan or Ohio at some point. And I think maybe next month I'm going to, like, Chance Cho invited me to the Challenger Series, Eastern
Oh,
Southwest
Lord.
Challenger Series. So it's June 15th. So maybe I'll be there. So I'm trying to do the East Coast thing this year.
Yeah, I want to try and go catch a gorilla. That's definitely on
The
my
what?
bucket. A gorilla, Michigan,
Really?
Michigan
Michigan State.
State.
Michigan
They're
State. Yeah. That's the toughest tournament. Like, I don't know. You guys, you correct me if I'm wrong. Uh I think as you go, like, most to the East Coast and you keep going north, the arm wrestling level gets higher and higher and it gets tougher and tougher until you get to Canada. Am I right?
To some degree, as far as the teams go, but you know, there's a lot of guys further down. Like you got Paul Cruz down here, you got Mike Aiello down here, Bisman's coming up. You know,
yeah.
I made some waves in my day. I'll bang with any of those guys up towards, you know, Syracuse, you know, Rochester, you know, Canada. I used to travel to Canada. I used to pull in the Can-Am. So, you know, but yeah, I think what you think though is that the more you go north, the more team oriented and the groups work together, I guess, because they're so much further apart. You know, you would think in an area as dense as New York City, we would be able to build something, but it's because they have so much options. People fraction off into smaller little things. Whereas you go up to the, you know, further away and people live further apart, the groups tend to stay together and build stronger teams that actually train each other instead of, you know, trying to, you know, have super matches every practice instead of actually training at practice, you know, like some guys come to practice just to beat their buddies at practice, which, you know, makes no sense to me. It's, you know,
And
we're all
then
supposed to make each other stronger at practice, you know, not compete, you know, unless we're practicing ready goes and then it's game on, motherfucker.
right. But again,
But I think, like, I've been, like, I don't know, I've been blessed. I have touched a lot of hands this past year and this year.
Sounds so
And
wrong.
you know, I the level, like the California guys pull a certain way, the Nevada guys pull a certain way, the Arizona guys pull in a certain way. You know, it's different types of arm wrestling everywhere I go.
see,
And
I think New York is very different because everyone that's on our team pulls very different. None of us really pull alike.
Because we don't train like a team. Everyone trains at home like lone wolves and then comes to practice and sees if they got better.
Yeah, I guess you're not wrong.
We tried to build real training camps, but
I'm really always willing to help when I go to practice.
no,
I'm
look,
never.
I think most places you go to, there's always guys that are willing to train with other people. But the majority is that part is that it's a big ego sport. Even though it's one of the most humbling sports, it's a big ego sport. And you know, even in the small pond, guys want to be the big fish. So, people are always competing, practice. That's why guys always videotape their practices and show all their wins at practice, but none of their losses. And, then you got guys where you'll be like, yo, I beat that dude. I'll be like, you beat that dude? And they'll be like, yeah. I'm like, when did you beat him? Oh, last week at practice. I'm like, yo, that you didn't beat him. That don't count. You practice with the guy,
Right.
But you don't get, you
Exactly.
never say you beat somebody unless somebody said ready, go at a tournament and it counted somewhere. If there was no win or loss column, you didn't beat anybody. You practiced with somebody,
Yep.
but people don't
Exactly.
get it. They got egos, man.
Practice wins.
Yeah, exactly. Practice champion.
Nobody can brag about beating anybody at practice.
Oh, they
I mean,
do.
a lot of
People
guys do.
They don't.
They do. You got
Like
guys that tell their whole friends and family outside the arm wrestling world that they are the best arm wrestler in their group, in their area. And they're like, like the last guy on the list, but they're telling everybody and their mother that, hey, no, dude, I'm the man at practice, And that's another thing that hurts the sport is that you got guys that walk around that enter these tournaments. Like somebody will throw a tournament and be like, this is the world championship or this is a state championship. And they're no way at the state or national or world qualifying levels that they could ever say that. So they get a bunch of amateurs that show up, no real pros. Now this guy thinks he's a state champion or national champion. He's bragging that he won. He loses to some guy who's never arm wrestled before in a bar. And the guy's like, arm wrestling's a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's not serious, like, but now say that, with a real national champion, have, Craig Toulier in a bar and some juiced up guy thinking like, oh, you're some national champion. And Craig would just toy with the whole bar, so it's if it's a real champion, people would be in shock and awe, but there's so many paper champions out there, fake arm wrestling champions that, brag, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And they try to go out and get sponsors and, and they tell these sponsors and then they never win an event. It's so bad for the sport.
you can't
Everything's bad for the
claim
sport.
you can't claim to be the best if you don't go out and test yourself. Like I would be willing to sponsor a guy that goes out and competes and loses every time to a guy that wins every match in practice. Like
Yep.
everybody likes to be the big fish in a small pond, but like nobody wants to go out and test themselves.
Listen, I learn more. I don't know about anybody else. I know I learn more through my losses where I got beat, not where I made a mistake, where I got beat, because it tells me where I have to work.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I'm gonna be honest. Hey, listen, if I made no one, Steve can attest, no one's harder than me on me if I made a mistake and thought I had a chance at the match. But if somebody just outclassed
exactly.
me because they were stronger or faster or better technique, okay, cool. That motivates me to go and train. I mean, and Steve has seen this firsthand. Okay, this guy beat me this way. This is what I need to fix. And I'll become
all the time. All the time I see that.
So yeah, and like I think when I show up at the Jasonville tournament, it's gonna be a very different version of me compared to Winnoblast because I started training.
What class are you going for? What class do you want to pull?
I'm 220.
You're gonna pull the 220 class?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is that? Who's in that class? That's Clint, right? Who else? Mike is in that class. That's going to be good matches.
But I don't pay attention to weight.
Yeah, you guys super heavyweights are all the same.
I used to say that when I was 300 pounds.
I don't.
But now it's like, yeah, kind of,
And listen, at Winter Blacks, I was trying to figure out who was in my class and who wasn't. I was so wrong about everybody. I mean, there's one guy I swore was going to be in my class. He weighed in at 223. I was like, how? So I have no idea what people's weight are.
Well, I got my ass kicked like in the amateurs and the semi-pros, and then when I got pros, my wins were there. But it was when I got the strap, and I'm thinking might do good or better than that at Winter Blast because this is an all-strap tournament, and I've been working hard on my weaknesses, and I really had the time for like the weeks after Winter Blast to train and concentrate in my training for this. So I think I'll do better, and if I do better, that would just satisfy me, because that's what we all want, do better each time, and it would be an honor, just to get third place at the Jason Vale tournament. I think Santiago Balsamelo is in the chat. Angel Armfighter said was saying hi to Steve, and I think Santiago Balsamelo is with him, and they're watching together. He's the guy that I told you was the WAF world champion.
Awesome.
But he's pulling like one like 70K. I think that's what 176.
Yeah, the 170.
Like
yeah, 70 kilograms.
Yeah, 174.
Yeah, something like that. So he'll be pulling the small classes, but he'll be pulling pro.
That's
154
obviously. Then 70 kilogram, 154. 78 is 176, right?
Correct.
Well, when he went to the East versus West qualifier, he was 165.
Okay, so he's probably a 154 then, maybe, or because there is no there's only 165 is the lightest class at right. There was nothing below that at East West, right?
Right. At 165 was the lightest class.
Right. Was saying 165. Right. So he's probably. I think that he's probably 154 then. Which, listen, I'm curious to see how he pulls. Hopefully, he pulls up a class or two. If he's good.
Yeah, and I mean, he's my age. He's like, I'm 43. He's like 42 or 44, something like that.
Steve, oldest again.
So I know he has a big hand. I haven't met him in person. I've met him online and through social media for such a long time. We became good friends, but I will meet him in person for the first time at your tournament. So it will be an emotional moment. But what I know is that he has a really big hand and he's strong for his weight. And when he won the world championship, they tell me Engin was worried because Engin is the only one that has won the master class and the senior class. And Engin was worried that Santiago would win the master class and the senior class too. And he like walked up to him like with this deep looking like through him and just told him like grab his hand and told him like you made it look too easy.
Wow.
Well,
he's on Engin's radar. He's really good then because
man, I don't know what is.
I've watched Engin blow through like 6 classes like it was a joke, at a pro level event where when people are like a Winter Blast, like a stacked event, I've watched him blow through classes, guys 40, 50 pounds on him like they were nothing, Yeah. He's one of the legends for sure. And he's doing great.
He's
for the
right
sport.
up there.
Thank God. The East West is awesome. It's without the WAL was nice. There's waves that come around. There used to be the Yukon Jack for us back in the day, and now then Steve Captain with the WL came around. Now the East versus West. There's always something. Hopefully, there's always waves that keep coming because the underground universe is huge. There's a huge underground arm wrestling community, and it's if there's that many people that love it, then the sport will never die. I'm not saying it will ever be Olympics, it'll ever cross over, but it'll always be there for us because as long as 2 guys can grab up on a table, you can't stop them.
Nope.
Yeah. I've broken many tables in clubs.
East versus West is going to be here for quite some time.
Oh, I hope so.
I mean, he's
doing the most constant thing for a while.
Well, it's not here, so it's not expensive to run. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. We don't know. You're not sure. You hope, we don't know.
Dollar for dollar, it's going to be way cheaper over there, which means that he can sustain it much longer.
I hope so. Listen, I hope enough arm wrestlers, see what it is. And listen, arm wrestlers just need to support the venues and the tournament directors and everybody. And the tournament directors eventually one day need to learn to fucking work together. And there's enough people in the sport that every event can be stacked. And
the megalomaniac attitude that a lot of promoters have needs to go away.
Yeah, well, we don't even need to get into that. That's a whole hot topic right there. So
Yeah. To me, my vision for arm wrestling, and this is my vision. Like, I don't care about money. I don't care about likes or views. My vision is like, I worked really hard for years to bring Puerto Rico, so it gets some kind of attention, right? And I work really hard, really hard. I mean, I'm putting money out of my own pocket to bring the eyes of the world to Puerto Rico. And when I finally got Puerto Rico into the NAAF, which is an international, like the North American Arm Wrestling Federation, which it's affiliated to one of the two major organizations. The feeling I got getting on the podium with my flag, that feeling, it's better than money. And my vision for arm wrestling is, I want arm wrestling to be at the Olympics, to get that attention, like to be able to make it so everybody can go and represent their nation and their town and their friends and their families. uh I mean, that's at least that's my vision. There's
no.
always good to have tournaments and everything like that, but to me, it's getting to the Olympics.
Well, but listen, that's never listen. Yeah, of course, I want the same thing. You want the sport to have the respect it deserves, and it would
Yes.
be nice to make back the monetary value of the time and effort invested. We're professional athletes, whether we want to say it or not. We train for it, we eat for it, we diet for it. It's a professional sport in our minds. So, but the real problem is, if you really want to scratch the surface on the real issue, is that, like, it's same problem on the low level with the tournament directors. It's all the big top people too. The reality is in order for this sport to be completely organized in just America, it would take one organization to be like on top of an umbrella organization over it. And the problem is that everybody thinks that it should be them because maybe they've been in the sport 30 years, whatever. But the reality is, there's nobody in this sport right now capable of doing it, because you'd need like a real corporation to run it. You need a real organization, a real sanction for referees, a real way to sanction weight classes, so the weight classes are mandatory across every event, and the calendar them out so no events step on each other, and make it like almost like a union for the athletes where they get paid. You know what I'm saying? And that's never going to happen because there's no organization that could handle that kind of growth of the level it would be. Think of what it takes to run a professional, sports organization. It's a
Yeah.
corporation. So, who's going to do that for arm wrestling? Who's capable? So that's why, when people like
But you mean, who's capable of doing that over here in America, right?
yeah, in America,
Well,
right? Yeah, you got obviously I don't really. I've been to Puerto Rico twice. I wish I'd known you then, because at least I would have got some practicing in while I was there. But
Obviously.
yeah, yeah, obviously. But I love that when I travel, that if I know somebody. But I didn't even know Puerto Rico was, a big arm wrestling, sport. I didn't know it was big there. So it's great to know
Yeah.
that you're building it and bringing the eyes on it. But one of the biggest issues I had as an arm wrestler was I would be embarrassed to tell people I was an arm wrestler, because most people don't respect it. People would be like, "That's a sport," or they'd be like, "Really?" Or right away, everyone's like, "Oh man, I could beat you. Stop. What are you talking about?" It's like, it's all such disrespect, because the
Exactly.
sport doesn't get respect. So and it doesn't, because, like I said, everything comes from the top. There's no organization and I'm not shitting on the ones that are running it, because I know that the people that are doing it, are trying to do the best they can. Everyone's actually trying to do the best they can, but they don't. Sometimes in order to do the best you can, you got to step on somebody else's toes. So it's a weird world once you get into it. And once you get into it, you're stuck for life. You can't get out.
right.
Yeah, you stuck for
The,
life, and you make
the, polit-
enemies, and people hate you.
the
I haven't had
politics
that
of
yet.
arm wrestling absolutely suck.
What's that?
The politics of arm wrestling absolutely suck.
Yes. Yes.
I
The
mean, if
politics.
we're gonna talk about it, see what happened this last weekend in Europe. They had a tournament with all the European nations. Like, they're doing it over there. They've been doing it for a while, like for years, decades.
Well, it's
and they have their
very,
own issues, but they have been able to solve it quickly.
well. The other thing is that it's also a lot of Europe funds it through school. Like it's a class that you could take for gym.
Dude, they got universities, high
Right.
schools that they specialize in arm wrestling.
Correct. So versus here, the best I can do is I built my own gym in my basement. It's all customized for arm wrestling, but it's not what a government could do for me.
Mm.
So I don't have that coaching.
You want to know something?
Everything out on my own.
Maybe you don't know this. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But in America, we got one country that it has it like that. Like they are government funded. They have everything very well organized. All their athletes are under the same banner and they run things smoothly. It's Costa Rica. Costa Rica has their arm wrestling federation, and they run everything, and everybody is under one banner. But it's not just arm wrestling. Like every sport in Costa Rica is like that. Like powerlifting is like that. Baseball is like that. Everything is like that. Like they have like a system in the government to take care of their athletes and sponsor them.
That's fantastic.
Except that in America, arm wrestling is not a sport, so you're not an athlete.
It's kind of a private thing, right?
Well, listen, I think it's a sport. You're asking the wrong guy. I think it's a sport. I think they're crazy.
I mean,
How do you not?
I know it's a sport. I know it's a sport, but it's kind of a private enterprise.
How is it private? If you go up to a little kid on the street and say you want to arm wrestle,
no, I mean private in a way, like we gotta run it, like with sponsoring, with the private sector, like
right. There's no government.
Not government funded.
Right. Well, listen, we don't even need government funding, although that would be nice. Even if we had just corporate funding, where real corporations,
like
sponsors, something. And the problem with that then is also too, is once money comes in, then they want to change the sport, so it's a catch-22, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Because they have a check, they should have some insight.
Well, I would feel the same way if I was spending my money, but listen, I've been hoping my whole life this sport would get, more recognition and cross over me better. And I don't know if it ever will, but I'll probably still be in it, for as long as I can put my arm on the table. So, and I love it. And honestly, the thing I used to love the most, which hasn't been the same lately, but hopefully comes back, was the community after parties that we would have after big events, like the after poll. Where guys, who just whooped your ass in a tournament would teach you what you could do to get better, or guys could grip up with guys from different weight classes, or, guys they never get to pull from, other areas or different countries. And, the after pull for me was what showed me what the community was. And it's the community that I love in arm wrestling. It's the people, they range from dentists to bikers to carpenters to, stockbrokers. It's like every walk of life competes with us, like there's so many different types of people, it used to only be the blue collared people, like the electricians, the plumbers, but it's not, it's grown. It's so many people, and they're just all good, down to earth people. Like it's something, whatever it is, the same chemistry reaction that makes us like the sport of arm wrestling must be something with they're usually mostly generous, good people. Now, yes, there's some greedy people that take advantage of groups like that all the time, but the majority of people will open their home to you, be like, hey, listen, if you can't afford a hotel, I got an extra room. It's such a great community. And that's what I love about this sport, and why I'll never leave it, and it's wherever you go. If you travel, you travel everywhere. That community stays the same, even from country to country to country. It's like that community after is just, it's.
Steve, what was it, 2 years ago or 3 years ago where we went bananas and pulled everything under the sun?
Isn't that always?
No. Like we literally, like when we were pulling
before I got hurt at work, when we were just competing at every friggin' tournament there was.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we traveled up and down the East Coast, and we always had someplace to stay if we didn't have a room.
Yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And I was just freshly back, so a lot of the new guys had no idea who I was. So
Yeah, they still don't.
right. That's not true. That is kind of true.
Everybody that comes to Puerto Rico and contacts me, they're my guests, and I treat them as they were family. And the people that have come here to Puerto Rico know that I try to take care of everything I can to make them comfortable, because that's the kind of man, the kind of guy I am.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the sport, and if you come here to arm wrestle, I will take care of you, in every way I can. And I love the community too. And it's the community that has kept me
Right.
in the sport, because I was about to quit. Like, I was about to quit. I didn't want to do this anymore. I was like I was tired of the haters and all that, and the scammers and all that. I was tired of that, and I wanted to quit. And one guy, it was Derek, told me, no, you cannot quit, and he put me in contact with Mike.
Yep. Well, I saw. I was just flicking around after Winter Blast, and I saw that you would post all the stuff about Last Ride. I was like, Derek, isn't this your boy? And he's like, yeah. I was like, get him in touch with me. I was like, there's no reason for somebody that's doing the same thing that me and Steve are doing to walk away from the sport because of other foul people.
Yeah,
so but that's why Derek reached out.
Just stop being too. You don't have to continue being super generous, but don't walk away from the sport. Like with us, I'm not trying. We stopped wanting. We're not in competition. We're trying to put events on so that people don't have to travel to get to pull quality guys. But when we started doing it right away, other tournament directors started popping up locally, and that's why I pulled it down to, we're only going to do the Jason Vale because the family requested us, and we knew the family, and that's why they wanted us to run it. And Greg Sharp reached out to us to run his qualifiers for his San Diego event, which is great because that means all my local friends and arm wrestlers can qualify locally so that they don't have to travel just to then travel again to the finals. And I want to put it on. I want to put on like 7, 8 events a year, but not if it causes all this controversy. And I think it's sad too, because, everybody brags about themselves, but I think that we run a really quality event. My wife does excellent on the brackets. We've been doing it for a long time. We've been, around the sport for a long time and taught by the best in the sport on how to do it. It just sucks that there's so many fly-by-night people that come up or have to hire other people to do it because they can't do it themselves and think that they're helping the sport. If you can't do it yourself, then you're not really qualified to be in that position, and that happens a lot too, because not only people get hooked on the arm wrestling, people get hooked on wow, if I'm running this, because they feel like they loved it so much, they think that they can take it to the next level because they can put their flair that's going to make everybody else see how great the sport is, where it's like, no, you're just a flash in the pan. So many people have come by thinking they could do that. If you really want to help the sport, help the guys that are being successful now, like support Ingen, support guys like, in my side, like I would think James Reed and the people in the Northeast Coast Coalition. I would even, support guys outside that, like, Winter Blast, all the guys that are doing well. We need to support those and keep it growing, not compete with each other, not who's better, blah, blah, blah. None of you is better. It's for the arm wrestlers, it's not who cares, the arm wrestlers make the event. You can have the nicest, fanciest place, the best awards, but if you ain't got the top guys, well, everybody knows it in the real sport. They know that, that the guy who won that wouldn't take 5th in one of our tournaments. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and
that's the, like, I know the different issues that are around, but the part that bothers me is when guys are prevented to pull where they want to pull.
Should never happen.
That should never happen. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that really bothers me. And I haven't said it publicly because I don't like the drama and all that. I don't like that. I just keep up to arm wrestling. But that's what really, why? That's the only thing,
Yeah.
People should be arm wrestle wherever they want.
Well, sorry, baby. I'm getting a look from my wife.
No one's ever gonna make me choose where I pull. I'm gonna pull where I want to pull as an arm wrestler.
Yeah. Well, listen, you remember when Jack bought New York Arm Wrestling Association and Jaron was trying to do stuff,
Oh yeah.
and everyone, I went to all the arm wrestlers and said, listen, I know that if there's an arm wrestling event in New York City, I don't care who's running it. I'm going to go arm wrestle to show that I'm the best in my weight class at every New York event. So I told everybody, I'm never going to tell somebody, don't go to this event, don't go to that event, especially if it's in your hometown. But I'm in awe. I'm amazed at the fact that some people think that they could tell a grown ass man or woman where they can or can't go in a sport they're competing in. It's like, give me a break.
That's what you just said. What you just said happens at every level.
Constantly,
like
and
right now, I'm trying to put
have.
something. I'm trying to put something together, and I'm getting, backlash because they are preventing guys to, work with me. And I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for the sport. Like, we are this close to being highlighted in an official government event that would, beneficiate the sport in the eye.
People not to come to our events.
Excuse me? But on top of what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, but look, from their perspective, like if you did invest, a lot of money and I know you already have, but I mean, on a corporate level, like some of these bigger ones that are trying to do it, I understand why they want to try to corral the athletes and contract their athletes because, if their athlete loses somewhere else, it hurts them as their brand and their franchise. If the athlete gets hurt, now they can't compete on the events that they paid them for the year for. So I understand why top promoters try to tell athletes where they can and can't pull. I'm not in favor for it, but I understand it. But that's why I'm saying it's like even the top level, it needs to group up together where there's one organization so that everybody gets the same points. So where even if I compete in your league or the WAF or the UAL or whatever, I'm still just working on my ranking system as an athlete in the sport, not for one organization or one league. You know what I'm saying? Like there should be a union for the athletes alone that doesn't
baseball,
work
something
with
like
the
baseball,
league.
right?
Yeah, that doesn't work with the leagues that fights for the athletes.
Well, we have the beginnings of that with Corey's system.
How's that?
With the points, because you get points.
Well, whoever owns the ranking system owns the sport because you can dominate and tell. You're going to control events if you could say, well, I'm not going to take your results. So your event's not going to be a qualifying ranking event. People won't go. So whoever has that power needs to be somebody who wields it evenly because they can make or break people. Whoever has the keys to that.
You now publicly saying that you're not going to take this event as a ranking is you're shooting yourself in the foot.
But if you're the only ranking system, it doesn't matter. You could shoot yourself in the foot because
now
these
it's an
guys,
unfair ranking
arm wrestlers, the majority of arm wrestlers will chase their ranking and they will support listen to me, they will support it. The one thing there's never been, I love arm wrestling, love the community, but there's no loyalty in this sport. So actually, and when there is, it's blind loyalty to these, these cultic fucking groups, where they know they're only going to support these people, and it's one or the other. It's not enough where the groups band together where they could stand up against somebody who has all that power. If somebody has all that power and they want to wield it evilly, they could definitely crush or build tournaments without a doubt because they hold the ranking system. If it's a legit ranking system,
there's no power to be wielded.
How's that? Because they can only be because if I own the software for the ranking system, right? I have to input the information to get the ranks, right? So if I don't put events that you compete in my system, you're not going to be ranked.
Okay? Well then you're no longer a legit system.
Why is that?
Because you're being unfair, and that's going to destroy itself.
Well, we know how unfair it isn't a reality in the real world, I guess. Fairness,
If you're looking to develop a ranking system, you have to take any and all tournaments that apply.
yeah, in the beginning to get all the information you can to get a base, but then after you have a
But what
base,
about it? What
if it's
about
a
it?
legit,
If some tournaments don't submit their information, like they don't do it?
well, that's on them. That's on them.
That's
And
on the
then
tournament,
and here as a
and
tournament
that's it.
director,
Entries.
that's a quality. Listen, like everything else, that shows the level of the quality of the tournament director. Because you think some of these guys that really care about the sport, that are trying to climb that ladder, are going to support that guy's events. You know what I'm saying? And they might still if they're local and they're close enough. But if it's going to be like there's a week before, they might have to drive 4 hours to one that's a ranking event. They'll probably go to that one because it's a ranking event and they can build their numbers. Guys will always chase their rankings. I know it already. You can see how they talk about just how almost every local group practice you go to, the guys try to set a pecking order and want to have a group. Who's the best? It's part of the sport, man. It's
Insane
but
practice.
it's the dark side of the sport.
Make a difference. It's stupid. All it does is it creates the vibe.
Guys just want to feel like they're the best.
Well,
So,
me
no
personally,
idea.
general,
at
if
my
you're
level,
you kind of know where you fall.
yeah.
Some people are delusional though. What are you going to do? I mean, I know you want all fair and no delusional, but that ain't reality. You of all people should know that. It ain't all cotton candy and rainbows, big guy.
Well, no, it shouldn't be. Listen, I'm not the best
Oh,
at practice.
spoken as a man with only daughters. Too funny.
I mean, I'll say these two things. I'll say these two things about this. I like history. I'm a guy that believes in God and everything, And there's two things that I would say about that in the sport that I would apply in the sport that we talked about. Alexander the Great used to say that the world would be a better place with just one good king. And then we had that one good king. And what we did, we crucified him. So that's the way of the world,
Right.
It's like you can do the path to hell. It's built with the best intentions, with guys, with people, the best intentions, and you have to like let go of things to do things like, how can I say this? Everybody does their own thing and they want to do it to be the best thing that they could put on for themselves and the community, the arm wrestlers, right?
Sure.
You cannot be looking at your neighbor and comparing what you're doing to them, because when you do that, you lose the essence of what you're doing.
Right.
You just gotta do right by you,
Well,
and be happy if your neighbor does it better.
right.
At least
help your
that's how I
neighbor.
feel. Help your neighbor. Exactly.
Yeah. You should be watching them in a way of not competing with them, but hey, how can I help them or learn from them? Because both are positive. It's got to stay positive, right? It can't be, oh, how can I stop them because they're taken away from me? Because it's like the same thing with like people on the YouTube and Instagram. It's so funny how everyone's like, oh, you got to do it, but then nobody wants to help each other once they get there, and it kills me because when you think about it, likes and subscribes are unlimited. It's not like if I get one person to like and subscribe me, that other person loses. We can all benefit if we all just like and subscribe, but they still don't want to help each other. So it's like human nature to kind of like I guess try to protect what you got. Not everybody wants to share.
Yeah.
I mean, I would
I
want to help.
I help everyone I can on this platform. I promote everyone I can, everything I can. Now, if you do me wrong, I won't help you, but I won't get in your way either. But that's one thing. But I help like right now, like earlier today, I was looking at my subscribers, and I found this group. I think it's Korean or Japanese. They got a lot of subscribers, and a lot of their videos get like hundreds of thousands of views. And I was watching the videos, and they do like super matches between themselves, and they do interviews, and it's very popular in their area. And I wrote down their email to reach out to them, and have them on this show, just to help them get to America, and people over here can see what they are doing, because it's good. It's good content. It's good for the sport,
Yeah.
And if we keep like, I help everyone I can, and sometimes that works against me, but I'm stupid like that. I like to help people, I love the sport.
Nice guys finish last. They say character's everything. It's like that story with the guy walking past the fire and the snake falls out of the tree, and the guy reaches into the fire and he grabs the snake, and when he does it, the snake bites him. So he drops him back into the fire, but then real quickly reaches in, grabs him again, and throws him out. And a guy passing by is like, why would you do that? Why, if the snake bit you, why would you still save the snake? And the guy says, because my initial character was a good person. I wanted to help the snake. The snake did what the snake does. It bit me. That's the snake's nature. I wasn't going to let the snake's nature change my character. So I continued to do what I was doing and help the snake. And I love that story, because I wish more people would think that way, because so many people, the minute they don't like somebody, the minute they feel somebody's wrong, they want to work against them or try to hurt them. If you really think you're a good person, you should continue to be good to people no matter how you think they are, and people don't really think that way. Everyone's pretty much out for themselves, but it's kind of hard not to.
I
in this
totally
world.
agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's
I
hard
totally
to
agree with
survive
you.
otherwise.
Yeah.
Nice guys get burned too much, man. It's hard, financially and emotionally.
Once the snake bit me, it reaps its own rewards.
Yeah, you're not a nice guy. We're not talking about you. I was talking about him.
Yeah. I mean, I've helped a lot of people, and I have been a lot.
I learned fast.
And that's why I wanted out. But since you guys kept me in, maybe I'll have to change a little.
Yeah, well,
listen. I'm always. Steve knows that if you need something and I consider you my friend, I'll give you the shirt off my back. I'll do whatever I need to for you. But
dude, I'm the same way.
But at the same time, life has taught me not everyone deserves that shirt.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
I've learned to not look for the good. I'm gonna believe who you tell me you are.
Yeah, but you're also the head of the karma police and will enforce justice as well. That's the difference, His level of empathy is a little lower.
Guys, It's been a hell of a fun conversation.
Yes.
I can't wait. We've been at this for an hour and a half already.
An hour and a half, yeah. And I usually do this shows mostly 45 minutes, an hour, but it's been such a good conversation. So I just kept talking, but I don't want to keep you guys. I know you guys are busy and have to work tomorrow and everything. And I just wanted to highlight and talk about Empire Arms, the tournament that is going to be in less than 10 days now.
Yep.
I'm going to be there. Santiago Barcelona is going to be there. A lot of other guys, Puerto Ricans, are going to be there. I just want to help the sport grow and your event grow and Empire Arms grow, and do and everything I can.
I have to say, this year, the amount of organic buzz this tournament has brought about, I hope we see the same amount of entries as buzz this year. Because we've been promoting it, but nothing like we have, and everybody has asked about it, which is fantastic.
Well, tournaments, you promote them or not, either they're going to show up or they don't. People already know what events they're going to. But listen, it is getting late, and I do want to go. But thank you very much. Thank you for promoting arm wrestling.
Thank you guys for being here and inviting me. And inviting me to your event and help me and support me and keeping me into this sport, because I love this sport. I cannot stop doing it. It's a vice. I'm an addict to arm wrestling.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Thank you guys. And I thank you guys. And I want to say thank you before the end of the show. Gravedigger, he sent me a couple of I had my birthday a couple of weeks back, and he sent
happy
me a
birthday.
package, with this hat and a strap on. Thank you, Gravedigger. I know you're watching. Thank you for the gift. It arrived today. I got held up. I don't know why. But thank you for the beanie. I lost the one I had of the one I have of Arm Fighters. I lost it. And I want to just ask everyone that watches this show and is watching, go to social media, support Empire Arms, Mike Bisman, Steve Black. They're running great events. This next event next week is going to be awesome. I'm going to try and cover everything I can about the event so you can experience what it's like to be at an Empire Arms event and in an all-strap tournament, which I wish all the tournaments were like that. And it's going to be my honor to be at your event for the memorial of and the celebration of the life of Jason Vale, who was a great man and one of the greatest arm wrestlers, in my opinion, in history. So, guys, thank you for joining me. I'll see you guys next week, and I hope we'll do this again after the event.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks again.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.